Right. Okay. As we are kind of on time now, let's start with it. Let me just get my notes so I know what I'm talking about. Again, thank you for everyone for coming tonight. I know there's always other things to do in Dubai, and probably sitting in a room for an hour with someone you don't know is probably not the first thing you want to do, but I appreciate everyone who RSVP'd, everyone who came, everyone who's on Facebook who couldn't be here kind of in person. Just to let you know, I'm going to be recording this and sharing this with you all as well, so if you don't want to take notes, don't worry, you can just kind of listen, it doesn't matter. It's pretty informal. We'll do about an hour, me talking, and then you guys can ask questions if you want, open session, talk to me afterwards, things like that. I'm pretty open to things. So, the topic tonight is grow your startup using social media. So, firstly, a little bit about me. My name's Tom Mehdi Bird. I am the founder of Authentic Orange. Authentic Orange is a social media strategy consultancy, solo consultancy. So I'm the founder, I'm the CEO, I'm the chief strategy officer, creative director, everything, it's me. My background, I've been in the region for about 10 years. I originally came out here to work with ITP on one of their automotive magazines. I was there for a few years, so I've got a good editorial background. Prior to that, I was in the UK working for Channel 4. And since then, I've set up two social media agencies. First one was focusing on automotive, social and PR, worked with the likes of Jaguar, Land Rover, Maserati, launching them into the region. Since then, I set up another agency where we worked with a number of brands across the region that you'll have heard of. NKD Pizza, kind of before they became Freedom Pizza. Visit Abu Dhabi, launched them onto social because they had nothing from then onwards. Etihad Airways, everything from content to advertising to route launches to A380 residences, Nicole Kidman, kind of everything like that. ADNOC Distribution, Abu Dhabi's kind of petrol station, Atlantis, Ford have done big things like putting the Mustang on top of Burj Khalifa, region-wide YouTube live streams, things like that. Now, I don't work with those guys, I work for myself, and I want to work with startups. I set up this agency or this consultancy to help startups find their feet on social. As startups, as founders or as people early, in startups, you've got a lot to do, and social is going to be one of those elements, but you've got a million other things. And I feel there's a gap between kind of mentors and agencies where I can kind of help as a consultant to kind of give you direction and kind of help you to kind of work out what it is you want to achieve through social and make sure you're not just kind of throwing stuff, seeing what sticks, that kind of thing, giving you kind of some structure in what you're actually trying to do. I'm not going to be presenting much. I'm probably going to use the whiteboard. So this is just kind of the talking points that we're going to go through tonight. Just to kind of give you a bit of an overview. Firstly, talk about the opportunity that social media kind of gives you, why it's important, why it's relevant, especially for this market. Then we'll talk about objectives. This is key, I feel, for social media. You've got to kind of know what you want to achieve from it before you kind of start doing it. Otherwise, you're just seeing what sticks. Developing out your ecosystem is kind of a fancy word, basically just kind of everything that you touch, you own, whether it's your own properties, whether it's stuff on social channels, things like that. Looking at how to engage with your audiences. One of the key things with social is you get a direct connection with your customers or potential customers, people you're interested in. So how do you talk to them? How do you make kind of relevant conversations with those people for them to actually care about you and your brand? Then we'll move on to boost your efforts, which is just a fancy term for kind of advertising, but we'll also look into other things such as like influencers. There's a lot of kind of talk around social media influencers and the kind of potential power that they might have for you and your brand and how you might kind of approach them. And then lastly, we'll look at kind of streamlining your approach. This is kind of not so much automating everything, but kind of using tools and features out there that kind of will help you so you're not spending day in, day out kind of sitting on your Facebook pages wondering what you're doing. So, firstly, opportunity. The opportunity on social is huge. As a startup, even if you're focusing B2B or if you're B2C or if you're looking for consumers, everything like that, the potential for social is huge. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, is on social media in some stretch of the imagination, whether you're someone who just like stalks people, listens to people, someone's an oversharer, things like that, or if you're a consumer, you are on social. Your customers are on social. Your competitors are on social. Everybody's on social. You can't discount it as a theme. Obviously, you've got to look at other things like PR and marketing, things like that. Social kind of crosses all of those areas. It can be PR, it can be marketing, it can be direct kind of communication, it can be customer service, it can be CRM, it can be everything. This market, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, is a very highly penetration market on smartphone usage. A lot of people have 1, 2 devices, 3 devices. They'll have other things such as they'll have one phone for calls, one phone for kind of using their apps and things like that. And that's from like 15-year-old kids through to 50-year-old CEOs. Everybody kind of is across lots of different platforms. So you've got to kind of have that in there. And the UAE specifically is a very good market for startups to flourish in because of, obviously we all know that there's lots of nationalities, lots of different people, lots of different backgrounds. It's a very good testbed market for global platform, for global markets, but also other regions. If you kind of make it work here, you can take that into KSA or other markets which might be more difficult to kind of get your initial penetration. It's a very good kind of test market. The key thing you've got to kind of think about with social is you've got to be patient. To do well, you've got to be good and you've got to give it time. I'm not someone who is someone that's too interested in hacks or tactics or kind of short-term stuff, things like that, kind of that you're going to kind of burn your reputation. It's more about how to establish yourself, give yourself real kind of credential and be true and authentic to what you are trying to do for your customers so that they care about you and what you want to do. And one thing just to kind of bear in mind, whatever you do on social, like every click, like, view, share, hashtag, thumbs up, emoji, whatever, that comes from a person. Even if you're on B2B, businesses don't talk to businesses, people talk to people, and especially on consumers. So everything you're doing, you're talking to a person. So if a post gets 10 likes, that's 10 people. So you don't get kind of bogged down in numbers. Numbers, yes, are important. Numbers mean a lot, but obviously numbers are because that's a person that's done that. So you've got to kind of think about that and kind of bear in mind you're always talking to people, and don't kind of forget that. So if we look at objectives, as I said, objectives to me is the key thing. So if we kind of just quickly write down, sorry, my handwriting is probably pretty terrible, but we'll just kind of quickly run through this. Objectives you can have on social. Firstly, most importantly, is brand awareness. Brand awareness is people knowing about who you are. You're not trying to sell them, you're just trying to get people to kind of be aware of you, who you are. Small companies, big companies, everybody does brand awareness. Coca-Cola, everyone knows what Coca-Cola is, everyone knows what it is, everyone knows how to drink it. They don't go around saying, go to Lulu Hypermarket and spend £1.50 on a bottle. They're talking about the brand, they're trying to make the brand aware. Apple, biggest tech company in the world, they only do brand awareness. They don't push direct sales of product. It's all about brand awareness. Apple, as an example, don't do any social media whatsoever. They are not active from a kind of communication perspective. They use it for advertising only. So sometimes you don't have to be active across all of everything to be successful. Next one is very key, is visits to website. Doesn't matter what you are as a company, you could be a cupcake shop, you could be a SaaS company, you could be anything, you should have a website. Social media has an importance, but your website is also important. Even if it's the most basic website that just kind of says when you're open, where you are and what you do. Social is important, Google search is important. People still use Google every single day. You use Google, everyone uses Google. So if someone says don't need a website, you need a website. You will always need a website. So it's very important. And the key thing is to get people onto your website, and we'll come on to exactly why that's important, how that can kind of tie back into social. For some of you, you'll be talking about app downloads. If you've got an app, you've developed an app, you want people to download it and you want people to use it. So that's going to be a key kind of objective. You want people to get onto your app, you want them to download it, you want them to use it. Second to that is kind of going to be sign-ups. So sign-ups would be if you're a SaaS product, if you're a long lead, you're a service industry, you want people to know about you, you want to capture their information so that you can communicate with them going forward. Then we look at product, the actual sale of product. This could be anything. You can sell anything through social. You can sell a 5 dirham bag, you can sell a 100 dirham t-shirt. We've sold $20,000 flights to New York with Etihad. You can sell things through Facebook, through social media, products as well. Next, very key one is engagement and advocacy. So this is people talking about you on your channels. That does say advocacy, kind of. But also people will talk about you on social, whether you're on social or not. If they have a bad experience with you, they're going to talk about you. If they have a good experience, they'll talk about you. Key thing is to try and kind of get these people and understand these people and kind of help utilize their reach and their influence, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, to be your benefit. So these to me are kind of your key objectives. You could be picking out 3 of these. You could pick out one of these, say, well, okay, I'm an app. I only want apps. You know, I need downloads. That's my only number one thing. But to have a successful app, people need to be aware of your app. To have a successful app, people need to be engaging back your app. You've got to kind of think, you can't just pick out one. So you kind of got to look at a lot of these things. One thing that I haven't put on here is likes, follows, views, that kind of thing. That's important, but it's also not important. Don't focus on the metrics. Don't focus on the numbers. You could have 100 people on your Facebook page, but if those 100 people are spending money with you, that's great. You could have 10,000 people on your Facebook page, but it's only 10 of them are spending money with you. It doesn't matter. People out there can get you likes. Likes are cheap. You can get likes kind of easily. It's important, but it's also not important. But it shouldn't be your objective. It shouldn't be like, I need to get 50,000 likes by June. That's not an objective that matters, in my perspective. So we look at, these are your objectives that you kind of think. So before you kind of really push yourself forward with social, like what do you want to do? Kind of think, what are we trying to achieve? Do we want to get brand awareness? Do you want to get people to the website? And you've got to kind of think about, in the classic kind of marketing funnel, where do you want people to come into that? Number one is always going to be brand awareness. If people aren't aware of who you are and what you do, they're never going to kind of go down the line. So that's going to be kind of key. If we talk about developing your ecosystem, so as I said, ecosystem is everything that you are on. So whether that be stuff that you own, so that will be your website, your app, things like that, but other, third parties, Facebook, Twitter, that's not, you don't own those people. Those are people that you're getting from those platforms. So if we look at kind of ecosystem, what areas we've got. I'll just quickly run through them and then we'll go into detail. So you've got website, apps, if you've got an app. Social channels, obviously, that's kind of key. I'm here to talk about social media, so let's make sure we've got social channels in there. Email. Don't let anybody tell you that email is not important. Yes, email gets abused in this region by property developers all the time. You will have given your business card to somebody and then 3 weeks later you're being bombarded with some new development in Sharjah or whatever. Yes, people abuse it in this region. That doesn't mean to say it's not powerful. So you've always got to think about email. And then lastly, physical presence. Obviously, if you've got a cupcake shop, you've got a store, you've got people there. If you're a service-based industry, when people are interacting with people, you've got to kind of think about that. It even comes down to your business cards, your apparel, anything that you've got, that's physical. That's how people are kind of seeing with you, so you can't kind of forget about that. Quickly run through, so website. Number one, firstly, have a website. Number two, ensure it's mobile optimized. Mobile is king. There is no question about that. As much as people might sit at their computers at work and sit on they are, in their spare time on their phones. There's no question about that. And when they get home, they're on their phone, they're on their iPad, things like that. You've got to have a website. It's got to be mobile optimized. Second to that is ensuring that you're kind of covering all the basics. Google Analytics, I'm sure most of you know about, is vastly important. If you haven't got Google Analytics on your website, make sure it's on there. Even if you're not expecting to get more than 20 people on your site a week or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just get it on there because the data you can get and the insights you can get from that will help. Get it on there early, even if you've just got a basic landing page. As your site develops, you can still keep it on there. It helps grow it there. Alongside with Google Pixel, Facebook has a Pixel. So Pixel is essentially they're just tracking your users. Someone goes to your website and they are on Facebook, they have been logged into Facebook on their computer or on their mobile, Facebook knows about that and will log that. And will give you access to that information which you can then utilize to market against those people later on. Make sure you've got your Facebook Pixel installed in the header of your website and all your pages. It takes 2 minutes to set up. It's very, very easy to do. There's lots of guides online that tell you how to do that. Twitter also has a pixel. It's called a tag. It's the same principle, similar thing. Even if you're not going to be majorly active on these platforms, make sure you've got the pixels in place to ensure you've got to kind of get the groundwork sorted. Other things that might not sound very sexy, metadata. Metadata is like the SEO kind of gold mine. We're not talking about like keywords and all that kind of stuff. We're talking about when you've got a website or a page on your site, and if you share that, I'm sure you've seen, when you share a site on Facebook, it will populate the title, the description, and a picture. Sometimes that'll be not quite aligned with what you had on there. It kind of scrapes some random picture that's like down here on the bottom right, and that's the picture it kind of promotes. You can set all of those things in the metadata. You can tell Facebook what you want to be shown there. And it can be not, those things don't even have to be on the page. You can put a different picture up there that's optimized. That helps you when you share the stuff, but also if people are sharing it themselves. So your customers might go, hey, check out this website, and automatically it populates everything, looks really good. You'll see it a lot with news websites. People will share a story and it populates everything. The Guardian is great at it. People share a link to a Guardian news story, it's got a nice picture, it's got the headline. The National isn't so good at it, they just put a big picture that says The National. So it's okay, but it's not great. Like, they're not utilising the system as best they could. Another port on your website is email. Collect email addresses whenever you can. There's ways in which you can kind of hack it and make it like modal pop-ups and this, that, and the other. Google are kind of stopping that and kind of going to affect you. Give people a rationale to why you want their email address and take their email address. Don't spam them, but get their email address because it's very powerful. Other things like if you're producing content, blog posts, articles, interesting kind of stuff, Facebook has a platform called Instant Articles, which is actually kind of an old school web way of using an RSS feed. So when you publish something to your website, it also gets published. Facebook take it and they scrape it and they make a version of it. So when you're on your phone and you see a link, you'll see sometimes they've got like a little bolt on it. When you click it, it instantly loads the article on your phone. So it stops that kind of 2-second load time that people might have. And when you experience a lot of sites that have instant articles, when you start seeing ones that don't, it puts people off. People are impatient, they want the information now. So there's little ways, again, Facebook gives you all the information on how to do that to make sure your site is kind of optimized for that. Quickly go on to apps, because not everyone's got apps. Other things, apps, Facebook has an SDK that you should use to capture people to log into your app. This might not work if you're some kind of SaaS program, things like that, and people aren't going to be using their personal Facebook page and want to log in for that, but it gives you the potential to capture more information. If you put Facebook SDK into your mobile app, Facebook gives you insights and analytics as well as whatever other stuff you've got. So you're utilizing a free tool. Obviously it's free, obviously Facebook's going to get something out of it, they're getting your data, but the benefit is you can benefit from that as well. Other little things for apps, ensure your metadata is all correct, ensure your description is descriptive, you can talk about your social channels, and be human when you're talking about your app. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Slack or use Slack, or it's a very good communication tool. One of the very nice things about Slack is they're human. You know that there's developers at the other end, because the way in which they talk about, sorry, no? Are we doing anything? Hello, hello? No. No.
We'll try again.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, so where was it? So updates on your apps. Be human. Slack are very good about that. If people would say there's a bug or something doesn't work very well, they're very human and say, hey guys, we screwed up, this didn't work out as well, here, have a unicorn. Like, they're very human and kind of jovial about fixing the problems and being human, and it helps give you that connection that people aren't just dealing with this like corporate faceless beast, they're actually dealing with people at the end of the day that care about them as a user and what they experience through the app. So you kind of utilize that in your kind of other ways. We'll go on to social channels. So social channels, obviously.
Sorry about that, guys. Okay, now it's working.
Okay. Is this all working? Okay.
Now the people in the back can hear, hopefully.
Okay, so we're going to run out of hands here anyway. But anyway, so if we look at social channels, as I said, there are lots of channels out there that you, as a brand, could be on. In my mind, as a startup, you need to kind of focus on what you want to be doing. Key channels, in my mind, number one is going to be Facebook. You may not like Facebook, you may not utilize Facebook, you may not be an oversharer, but you're on Facebook. You may get bored by seeing baby photos, weddings, and this, that, and the other, and some random meme that some bloke you met at one party shares and stuff like that. But you're still on Facebook. You will still check it, and you still get served ads. It is a hugely, hugely powerful platform. Facebook is obviously desktop and mobile. It gives you as a brand, as someone that's publishing content, the most options out there. You've got video posts, you've got photos, updates, everything on there. There's a platform that gives you the most possibilities out there. There are a number of things out there that you can use with Facebook. Facebook Canvas is an advertising and a organic property that's vastly underutilized globally, but also especially in this region, but it's hugely powerful. It allows you to kind of have a full screen mobile experience. People kind of click in and it gives them like a kind of microsite within Facebook. And Facebook love it because it keeps people on the app. You can use it to go and really kind of drive engagement with your brand. Obviously, advertising, targeting options and things like that with Facebook are second to none. It is the most powerful platform out there. Second to, in my mind, as an important network to be on is Instagram. Number one, Instagram is owned by Facebook. So there are cross parallels between all the targeting you can do and all the data that's shared. You can advertise in Instagram in lots of different ways that Facebook allows you to do. Other benefit of Instagram is there's a huge time on app. People will open Instagram when they first wake up in the morning because it's kind of easy when you're just kind of waking up to go through pictures. They'll just check it at lunchtime, they'll check it at the end of the day. Yes, there's an algorithm in place now so people don't see it as a constant stream, but it's hugely powerful. Instagram is always updating itself. Recently, the latest introduction it had is Instagram Stories. Now, a lot of people say that Instagram Stories is just a rip-off of Snapchat, which, yes, it is. But the benefit is that you, as a consumer, don't need to be on Snapchat to get those benefits, and you as a brand don't need to be on Snapchat to be using those kind of features. The benefit of Instagram Stories is, even if someone's following loads and loads of people, and you're getting buried in the algorithm that they've got to keep searching, if you're on Instagram Stories, you're at the top. You get seen at the top. They'll get top, and so people will just sit there and scroll through, and they'll see their friend at a coffee shop, someone like this, and then they'll see your brand. Companies that use Instagram Stories really well, a lot of editorial brands out of the US, The Verge does very well on there, but lots of people use it. It's hugely, hugely powerful. Next, and it's a beast, but it shouldn't be forgotten about, Twitter. Twitter is hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that Twitter is an easy platform to use. It's difficult because you have a microsecond of opportunity to engage with somebody and they're gone. If someone's active on Twitter, they're going to be following a few hundred, a few thousand people. And you don't have a huge opportunity to kind of capture their information. But what Twitter really has at its benefit is its conversation and its customer service. I'm sure we've all had experiences in this market with Do or Etisalat or some other big name. And the last thing you want to do is spend hours on the phone with them trying to get through to the call center. Best way to do it, tweet them. They phone you back within 5 minutes because they want to ensure that that gets done. If you're not on, if people are talking about you on Twitter, are going to complain about you on Twitter, make sure you're on Twitter to ensure that you're getting that kind of conversation. And lastly, to me, YouTube. YouTube is the home of video. Yes, every other social platform out there is doing video now. Twitter's doing video, everyone's doing video. YouTube is the home of video. YouTube is the biggest search engine of video in the world. Obviously, it's owned by Global. YouTube is the biggest TV station in the region. People don't watch TV. People aren't going to be sitting there watching NBC2, NBC, whatever. They're on YouTube. They're on YouTube on their phone. They're on YouTube at home. Especially in markets like Saudi, where they don't have access to as many channels that we might have here. YouTube is open. We're not in a firewall environment here. So people use YouTube to search. People don't sit on Facebook to search for videos. People get served videos on Facebook, but you use YouTube. YouTube is key. If you're going to be talking about anything, if you're going to be doing video run-throughs, things like that, people to find you in this area, brand awareness, YouTube, you've got to do it. It's a great way that you can host your videos and run them on your site as well. So those are the key top 4 important platforms. Depending on your market and what you're doing, LinkedIn has a lot of potential. It's seen mainly as a B2B platform, and it's also seen mainly as a way to get a job. Obviously, we all kind of know that that's a good way to find work. It has some power for a brand, but it has more power as a person. If you are a person, if you are a thought leader, if you like to think of yourself as somebody who's got something worth saying, LinkedIn can give you the kind of platform for that. They have something called LinkedIn Influencers, which is basically if you blog, if you post through LinkedIn, they'll kind of help promote you that and you get kind of good coverage. So if you as a person, as an owner of a founder of a company, want to talk about your company and want to talk about the development of your company or the space you're in and things like that, LinkedIn is a very good platform for that. Alongside that, Medium. Medium doesn't have a huge penetration in this market. If you don't know what Medium is, it's just long-form Twitter, essentially. It's a blogging platform to a point. It's used a lot out of the US, a lot in the tech space. There isn't a huge amount from this region on Medium at the moment, but that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't be there. It's very, very powerful. There is a very close-knit kind of connections between people. People like to like, comment, recommend each other. You can get featured on Medium. It's a good potential platform if you've got something worthy of saying. If you can write a 500-word blog post, Medium could be the place for it, maybe not your own personal blog or your company's blog. If you're doing stuff that's very specific about how to use your app or how to use your program, then maybe not Medium, but if you've got something worth saying about the space you're in, it's a good place to be. Other platforms, in my mind, such as Snapchat. For a business, in my mind, is a waste of time. It's a distraction. Snapchat is a hungry beast that if you're going to be good on Snapchat, you need to be on it all day, every day, putting up content that people care about. DJ Khaled, Shondoris, these kind of guys that have got massive followings are on it day in, day out, and they're making a lot of money out of it in the US. As a brand, it's very tricky. You can't really kind of pre-write anything, you can't pre-take any pictures, it's got to be kind of there. Brands are using it in this region, but you'll generally see them, it's like some kind of like behind the scenes at some event that we're doing. Like it doesn't help. You could utilize your time and energy that you might use for a Snapchat better on Facebook, better on Instagram, better on other platforms. It's kind of a distraction. And the last one that's kind of big globally, sorry, my writing is atrocious, Pinterest. That's right, that does say Pinterest. Pinterest is huge in the US. It's kind of the classic mums using it for crafting and wedding kind of pinboards and stuff like that. Unless you're really in that space, it doesn't have huge penetration in this market, and it kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense. Just sorry, back on Snapchat, one thing that has some value, if you have a physical store, if you have like a shop or a cupcake shop or a coffee shop or something, there is some value in having a geo filter. So if people are visiting your location who are within the kind of Snapchat demographic, 16 to 24-year-olds, who might be snapping from your location, having a geo filter helps because they can tag your location and it shows up on their thing. So it helps kind of give that kind of wider brand awareness to their followers. Right, so those are the social channels that I would say. So these are your top 4. Back to email. Collect email addresses, as I said. And this isn't like just rip email addresses out of kind of databases you find or someone gives you. There's no value in that. You want people to have wanted to subscribe to you because they want to be interested in what you're saying and you've got something interesting to say to them. We're all on email. We've all got smartphones. We all get notifications. And yes, we all get bombarded with a load of rubbish a lot of the time. But it gives you an opportunity to capture someone's attention for a little bit more time than they would maybe on Facebook or Twitter or things like that. Where if you've got something worth saying, it's a very good channel to kind of use that as a platform to talk about what you're doing. Yes, it can be used as a sales channel, you can do money off and stuff. But some brands overuse that. It stops being special. There's a shoe brand in the UK that I follow, that I'm on their email list. And every 2 days it's, here's a special offer, 10% discount. And it's another special offer, 10% discount, and it's nothing different. Email is great. Emirates use email very well. Airlines use email very well. It's a very, very powerful tool. Just don't spam people. Don't give your list to anybody, and don't buy anybody else's list. It's not worth it. It's just not going to give you what you want. Lastly, back down to kind of physical presence. You can do in-store discounts. You can give people kind of, if you follow us on this, you can give them money off. You can make a kind of, you can give people the kind of, if you do this, we give you something back. It can give you a lot there. Down to like business cards, things like that. So one other thing with regards to social channels is you have one opportunity on social channels to brand yourself. You have your handle, your @handle. And a lot of the channels kind of are unlimited on how much you can do on that. You can write, some long thing. Twitter limits you to 15 characters for your handle. You can change it, you can tweak it around. They limit you to 15 characters. In my mind, whatever you have for Twitter should be the same for your Instagram, same for your Facebook, same for everything. So it gives you the opportunity that you can just say brand name. That's it. That's all you need to say for your social. You don't need to say, on Facebook, we're facebook.com/brand XYZ, things like that. It should also line up with your domain name and things like that. you have to sometimes, obviously, there's a lot of brands out there, there's only so many characters in there, so you can be kind of clever. Sometimes you have we are such and such or go such and such to kind of get your brand in there, but kind of ensuring that your kind of social channels are all aligned makes a lot of sense. So that's the kind of thing. Make sure everything's aligned, make sure everything's talking to each other, make sure you're linking out to everything, make sure you're filling out all of the information that you can fill out. Twitter gives you 160 characters for your bio, but it gives you a website link as well. So many people don't fill in that website link. Just fill it in, it's just copy and paste your URL. Facebook gives you tons of stuff, and I've been there, I've done it myself. You set up your Facebook, and you're like, oh, what do I fill in all this? I've got to write this, I've got to write that. And you'll get something up there, and it probably won't be great. Take the time at some point to just spend an hour and just fill out everything that you can on there. Your opening times, your contact number, what you do, what the space you're in, that kind of thing. You might think people know who you are, but people might go on your Facebook page and they'll click on the info button and they want to know who you are and what you do. Take the time just to fill out these kind of free areas of information that you can then kind of give them the stuff that they want. The other benefit as startups, as small businesses, you are empowered to do all of this. If you want to be on Facebook, you're on Facebook. If you want to be on Twitter, you don't need to ask VP of Marketing's approval and go through some like legacy approval systems, this, that, and the other. As a startup, you should be, if you're a founder, you're empowered to do it, or you've empowered somebody on your team to manage these things. Give them the power to do it and don't kind of get held up by systems. Like, get these things running, get them kind of going. Right, so where are we up to now? Okay, so now we're looking at engaging your audiences. Now growth, I know this topic we're supposed to be talking about is growth. And growth means, you want website visits, you want app installs, you want that kind of thing. But you've got to look at who you're going to be talking to in the first place. A lot of people will say, oh, everyone's my potential customer. Oh yes, everyone's a potential customer of a Rolls Royce. Everyone's a potential customer of a pack of chewing gum, but they are different customers. Everyone could buy everything. You've got to kind of narrow your focus. There are millions of people on every platform. I'm not going to start saying this platform's got 300 million. It doesn't matter. Your audience are on these platforms. Whether it's 100 of them or 1,000 of them, they're on these platforms. You need to narrow your focus to ensure that you're talking to the right kind of people. This comes back to editorial practices. When you're writing a magazine or a newspaper, you write to 1 or 2 or 3 target readers. When I was at Car Magazine, you'd write for Bob. Bob lives in Arabian ranches. Bob has a wife and 2 kids. Bob has a 4x4 on the drive but wants something nice for the weekend. So when you're writing, you're thinking in that persona. Same for you when you're talking with your potential customers. You need to have literally a picture of them on your wall of who your customers are and who you're talking to at a time, so that you can kind of talk to them as they would want to be talked to. You think about people who buy Time Out magazine are different to people who buy Akhlan magazine. People who buy Harper's Bazaar are different to people who buy Viva. Like, there is a different audience out there for everybody. There are tools, there are platforms. Facebook has Facebook Audience Insights, which can give you a lot of this. Generally, go with your gut. Think of like 3, or even think of 3 customers you already have that you know, or you can talk to. You can ask them, what are they interested in? People you know that use your app, they're interested in what you're doing. Build up personas around them, and then keep those people in mind whenever you're creating content for them. So I'd say 2 to 3 kind of target personas. You can't look at everybody, you can't talk to everybody at all times. And you've got to kind of think about, how would they react to this? How would they want to be spoken about? How does this make sense to them? Why would they care about what I produce, what I sell, what I'm offering? And then with regards to engaging with the audience, it's about content. Content is king on social. Content is number 1. Like, this is no new news here. Like, content is number 1. There are people out there that will say there's a mix between, you should do the 80-20 mix, 80% should be editorial, 20% should be sales. There's no exact number, but you shouldn't be pushing people on a sales thing day in, day out. You've got to kind of build up relationship, give people a reason why they should care about you, tell your story so they actually are interested in your story. Types of content you can do, powerful types of content at the moment is Facebook live video, or live video in general. However, you've got to have something worth talking about live. Like, just because you can be live doesn't mean you have to be live, and if you've got nothing worth saying, then don't say it. Don't just have it for the sake of it. Give people a reason they want to actually be live. The platforms love live content, and people are hacking, this is another thing, hacking live video. You'll probably have seen on Facebook, It'll be like a picture of a cat and a picture of a dog, thumbs up for the cat, smiley face for the dog, and it's a live video, and all it is just a picture with people kind of reacting to it. Facebook hate that. Facebook are trying to close that down. It costs you $300 to get access to that platform to make that, but it will be shut down. Don't try and and all you're doing is gamifying reactions and engagement. For what? For what reason? What is that getting you kind of in the bigger scheme of things? So if you're using the platforms, the features of the platforms, do it for the reason. Video is very powerful. Video, there's a number of ways you can do video. Key thing to think about for video is to ensure that it makes sense with the sound off. Because people will be looking at their phone in bed at the office when they shouldn't be, and the last thing they need is something to kind of start blaring out their phone. Subtitles, it might seem kind of strange, but subtitles is key. To watch videos that make sense. Really good examples of this, AJ Plus, Al Jazeera Plus do this. Everything's got captions or subtitles on the videos. It makes you watch it. It makes you, as you scroll through your newsfeed, it auto plays. If you've got it built into the platform, you'll get people wanting to watch it. Otherwise, they'll just skip straight through. People don't generally plug in their headphones and really want to watch a video. You've got very short, attention span of getting people to actually want to watch your videos. Images obviously are very important, optimizing your images across the platforms at different sizes and things like that. But again, you've always got to think mobile first, and don't steal don't steal pictures from Google search. This is just cheapening you as a brand. There are plenty of stock libraries out there, some that are free, some that you have to pay for. There are some better stock libraries out there than others. There are more interesting ones. Or put your hand in your pocket, find a photographer, give them a brief, and get real content that's actually relevant to your brand. Because especially in this market, there isn't a great deal of relevant stock imagery, unless you want a kind of stereotypical Arab dude and his wife and 2 kids kind of wearing a dish dash on. It's horrible. The content, the stock stuff that's out there is horrible, and it's overused. You'll be in the mall and you'll see one of it's used in a bank and then it's used in another shop and they're using the same images. Spend the time to think about exactly what you want to be talking about, how you want to present that, and spend the time. There are plenty of photographers out there, but pay photographers. Don't ask people to do stuff for exposure. Exposure kills people. Everyone's got to make a business. No one's in the business to do things for exposure. So don't kind of abuse people's kind of what they want to do. Other things are very important, blogs. The more content you can produce, the better. It helps your SEO, the more content you've got on your site that isn't just salesy, the more content you can do. That can then be repurposed across to Medium. You could host your company's site on Medium, or you can just repost it on there just to get more views on there. Benefit of having it on your own site is you get Facebook tracking pixels on there, which we'll get to now. So outside of this, when we go back to engaging with the audiences, is responding to your customers is key, and you've got to respond quickly. If you don't respond to someone within half an hour, they are not interested in you. It's tricky. It's a beast. In the agency world, it's called community management, and we employ an English person, an Arabic person. We have people online between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. We have people overnight. We scaled up Etihad to have 6 languages 24/7. That's like 40 people. This is not going to be kind of scalable for you as a startup. What you can do if you're a startup founder or you're doing this, go to Sharaf, go to Carrefour if you're a sadist and you want to buy a phone from there. Spend 350 dirhams, buy a cheap Android phone, get a SIM card for it, and make sure it's got Facebook, Twitter, all the platforms are on there. Make sure all your notifications are switched on. And then if you want to use it for a few hours and you pass it on to someone else on your team, just make sure you know when people are communicating with you. When you get bigger, there's all these platforms out there, CRM systems, you can put them into some kind of funnel and then you can just track everything that's on there. But the key thing is communicate with people. Don't let people talk into a void, because the last thing, if they've got a complaint, they're just going to talk and talk and talk, and it's going to really annoy them. Another platform, if you're in the hospitality business or a hotel or a restaurant, you've got things like TripAdvisor. You might feel it's a social network, that people talk about you and they'll give reviews about you or they'll give their opinions. You'll see some hotel brands use it, they're very robotic in their response. Someone will post up a review like, oh, well, we stayed at this hotel, the room was rubbish, and they'll say, thank you for your review, we hope to see you again soon. You've got to respond humanly, you've got to respond like a human, you've got to respond friendly and talk to people. Don't just have stock answers for things, because people can see a stock answer, especially on Twitter. If they go onto your replies and they see that you've responded to 20 people with, hi at username, thank you for your email, thank you for your comment, we'll get back to you. Show empathy, show you care and talk to them really. And if you're a restaurant, Zomato and those type of things, you've got to be on there. You've got to own. People are going to talk about you. So if you're not talking to them, they're going to just talk about you anyway. Right. So we'll get to boosting your efforts. So this is with regards to advertising, and it comes back to your objectives. All of these objectives can be advertised against. The platforms will take your money and do all of these things for you. If you want people to download an app, you can do an install ad on Facebook, on Twitter, and you can get a nice little pic, and in Instagram, picture of your app, people go straight to the App Store and they can download it. If you're going straight to app download, and I'm sure we've all seen this on your feed, you're on Instagram, you'll be looking past these pictures, and then you'll see this random picture on iPhone with some random app on it, and you just scroll straight past it, and it's an install ad. Because people are kind of trying to jump here without doing the brand awareness, without kind of getting those kind of things in there. So if you're going to use things like app install ads, use them as part of a bigger kind of funnel where you've done engagement and you've done awareness and those kind of things, so that you're not wasting your money. Some platforms like Twitter, they'll do cost per action, so you don't pay anything until they get somebody on there. And a startup I'm working with at the moment did advertising on Facebook, got 2,500 sign-ups to his website. Great, that's great. 2,500, pretty cheap, quite good. But the actual people that are on there, they're not utilising the platform. So you've spent money, you've got people, but you're not doing anything with them because they come in and they go, okay, great. Now what? What is it? What is this thing I've just signed up for? What have I just done? And you've paid money for them, and you're not kind of getting anything back. So you've got to kind of think about what you're doing. So yeah, don't ship to the end too quickly. And be patient. You've got to think about it. If you want to get someone here or here, it's going to take you a month, 2 months, 3 months. If you're a SaaS product with enterprise, it's going to take you 9 months to get someone to kind of convert. Benefit you have with regards to advertising on Facebook more than you have with other platforms or kind of other social channels is there's so much out there that gives you good examples of things that you can, let's say, copy, be inspired by. Facebook itself has a creative hub. Facebook itself has case studies, show you how things work, how other companies did it. They love talking about it. Facebook utilizes this market as a test base. We did for Etihad, they did expat marketing. They're all expats. So if you want to try and target people to want to fly at home, Facebook has a way of doing that. And they tested it in this market and they built up a case study. These things are available to you for anybody to read and absorb and take in. So you can utilize those things. And the key thing for social is that you have the potential, the same potential that any brand has. You have the same tools, the same platforms, the same types of content, the same types of advertising that Ford have, that Coca-Cola have, that everybody had. You can do something that will get more eyes than what they do. Obviously they might have more money to boost it, but that doesn't matter if they're not targeting the right people. You don't have the same potential to put an advert on Shakespeare Road that Toyota might do, but you have the same power to do stuff on social that they do. So you've got to kind of think, you don't sell yourself short. The potential of the platforms is there that you can do so much with them. Where are we at with time? Okay. Then lastly, we're looking at streamlining your approach. Now, this isn't about set and forget and just kind of get a content calendar written and just post it and forget about it. Content calendars is something that agencies love. Well, something that clients love agencies to do, let's just say it that way, because it allows them to write a month's worth of content, you send it through to approval, they take 3 weeks to look at it, they send it back, and then you've got your month's worth of content, and then you pass it on to your community manager, and they just post it. And it works to a point. However, content calendars, customers don't care about content calendars. They're not sitting there waiting for it to be a Tuesday that you're going to post up a certain post, or on a Thursday when it's Throwback Thursday time and things like that. You've got to react to your audience. You've got to look at what they're engaging with. And don't be afraid to repost content. You have to break it to you. Your customers don't spend their life on your Facebook page. You do. You know every single post you've ever posted up. You know every single tweet you put out. Oh, we spoke about that last week. We can't talk about it now. Or we did that 3 weeks ago. People have got a short attention span, but also some people may have seen it, some people won't have seen it. And if it works for a reason. So try and understand why it worked. Why did a certain picture react better to other people than others did? So don't be afraid to repurpose content. Another thing is, as I said, content is king. So take, for example, tonight. Tonight I'm recording this event for myself, as well for you guys. I'm going to share it all with you. But for me, this event is a 1 hour talk from my side, and as much as everything I've babbled on about, what I'm saying is some quite interesting advice, I'd hope. I can take what I've said tonight, repackage it up into 10 different Facebook posts, or 20 different Instagram posts, or 5 different tweets, and I can repost that. As a startup, you're obviously not going to be giving events, but you will spitball with your colleagues or your friends, you'll talk about what you do and why you do it, or these kind of things. Record that, document it, think about it, look at what you're already saying and how you can do it in a different way. A very good example of someone that does this, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm sure some of you have heard of him. He's the CEO of VaynerMedia, which is a big agency in the US. He has his own personal brand, Gary V. He has a film crew follow him around all day, every day. Client meetings, personal meetings, in the gym, this, that, and the other. I'm not saying get a film guy to follow you, that's not saying, but why he does that is he's built this model that he does that, his team then take that and they create loads of content out of it. He hasn't had to do anything. They haven't sat him down and said, right, we need you to create 5 posts for us about such and such. He's already talking it, they're just taking that information. So you need to think about opportunities that you have where you're talking to people, where you're producing content for your customer guide or a pitch deck or something like that, that you can take insights out of that and repurpose that content so that you can kind of get content out of thin air that you haven't had to try to make. Other things you can do with a lot of the platforms is schedule in advance. Everyone apart from Instagram allows you to do this. You can put stuff into the queue and let it be there, and then at certain times it gets posted out. 10 o'clock we're going to post this. Do it with caution. Things change. I did this once with Flash Entertainment, and they did an event, and we scheduled everything, and everything was going to live. We're going to talk about this big artist. And then there was like fog in New York. The airports were closed for 3 days. So that artist wasn't now coming. They got cancelled. And we were like, oh, we've just put it up on Facebook. I literally got a phone call. I had to stop on the side of the road and log onto Facebook and delete the post because it's there, it's great, but you've got to be careful. And if you're scheduling, just make sure you're still actually communicating with the people who might interact with you or might respond to you. Don't just kind of think that it's going into the void. It's going out there for a reason. There are a number of tools out there that are very good at this. Buffer is a very good tool for scheduling stuff. So it can work very well on stuff that's not time dependent. If you want to talk about things kind of in a more broader sense or share your longer form content in other ways, there you can literally set 50 posts up and they set them at different times. They base it against when you get good engagement and it posts out. Post times is important but also isn't important because people don't see your content when you post it. Very rarely. Unless you're doing things like Instagram stories or Facebook Live, people aren't going to see your good morning post until 3 in the afternoon. So be careful that you're not kind of too dependent on time. A lot of the kind of content you'll find online, like best times to post to Facebook and this, that and the other, they take so much data that it becomes meaningless. That there's so much they take, oh, we looked at 3,000 companies and how they post and this, that and the other. You're like, okay, great, well what about people who are interested in such and such? What does it matter to those people? So you've got to kind of take it with a pinch of salt and again, go with your gut. So part of streamlining is the data you get from social is unparalleled to any other marketing platform you have. Even to PR and everything like that. PR data you get from PR is meaningless. AVEs don't mean anything. If you're employing a PR agency, they give you a coverage report and say, we've got you $25,000 worth of coverage this month. It means nothing. An AVE is based on your rate card of something being shown in a magazine. It doesn't mean anything. You know if something made sense because you've had a spike in visits to your website, people downloading, things like that. Social gives you so much data that you can literally it's just a vomit of data. You can get lost in it. So you've got to be kind of careful to not get too bogged down in the really nitty-gritty of, oh, well, this post had a 22% engagement rate, and this one had a 37% engagement rate, and look at what sticks, what works well, what doesn't work well. Social things will never be 100% all the time. You're never going to hit a home run every single time. It's a matter of kind of looking at what you're doing and reacting to it. So that's why having a monthly content calendar doesn't kind of make sense if you're just posting stuff out and nobody cares. And nobody cares, or you'll post something and it's just not reacting, to stop. Post something else, find something better to talk about. So, that's about it kind of on a overall from my perspective. So, key things to talk about. Growth is a tricky word. It's tough to grow your business through social media. I'm not going to make any kind of 2 words about that.
growth is tough, growth is hard. You're fighting against a lot of noise on social, but you have the power to do a lot with social that other platforms don't give you. And it gives you, as I said, it gives you an even playing field to every other brand out there. Your competitor and what they're doing to some big brand, whatever, you've got the sheer potential to do whatever you can do to grow your business. But it's all about, think about your objectives. What do you want to get from the next 3 months? 3 months is a good window to think about. And it's a good window to kind of think about in a broader scale. Work towards kind of thinking about where you're going to get to in those 3 months, where having an increase in brand awareness, how's that going to help you if you're business, how are you going to get your email, what you're going to do. But give it time to work towards that. Don't expect results overnight. Yes, you can get results overnight. You can put an app download thing up and you'll get people downloading your app, but what's next? Always think about what's next. What are you doing with these people? How can you get people who download your app to then talk about you, and then to be an advocate for you, then talk about you in a good way? And this is the thing we didn't talk about is influencers. Social media influencers have a huge influence, obviously that's what they are. There are a number of people in this market that have vast followers. No, great, it's hard for them as a person to get 300,000 followers on Instagram, 500,000 followers. It's crazy. It's taken them a lot of work to get there. And every brand out there is courting them and throwing money at them to talk about brand X, product Y, whatever. Which has some value, but it doesn't get you very far. The key thing for me is, if there is somebody out there that's got influence in your market, then build up a relationship with that person. Don't just email them out the blue and say, hey, how can we work together? Talk to them. Help them to become an advocate for you that they care about. It's very difficult, but also you need to think about micro-influencers. If you think about, you only want to go with an influencer who's got a big following, which is true, that helps you. You get one person who's got 300,000, you've got good potential. But if you go to 10 people that have got 30,000 followers, they're not being courted by the big guys, they're not being thrown big money, and they'll be more open to talking to you and being engaging with you. And the more relationships you can build up with people on social, the more you can kind of get out of them. So don't and you'll see these big names, and they've been called out for it. 1 minute they're talking about Do, and then 3 months later they're talking about Etisalat. And you're like, well, who do you represent? Because the brands are just looking at it on a campaign by campaign basis. They're not looking about it on the long term. From your perspective, you want to think about building relationships with people that help you as a brand to grow. And that's about it, I think.